Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Robot Spirit, or the Robot Damashii Strike Freedom Gundam, which is a really cool looking Gundam, just really nice design, I think. One of my favorites actually. I love the wings and just about everything about it. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. So here we go. Let's take a look at the box real quick. You can see right on the front. Not the best image on the front. Usually we get things more along the lines of this. A little bit more going on there than this one here, but that's okay because it's not really what's on the box that counts, it's what's on the inside. But the back of the box is pretty cool. You can see some different display options. Again, this guy has tons of versatility due to the fact that he has those really cool wings. He has the kind of faded side panel, so not my favorite there, but still, guy's really cool. He is rather small, unfortunately. He stands only to the top of his head, just over 5 inches. If you count the crown, if you don't, he's just about 5 inches tall. So he's relatively small, but as you can see, that does not mean he is without detail. He has tons and tons of detail. Especially, I love the head. This might be my favorite head design for any Gundam other than maybe Shining or Burning Gundam. I love this guy's design with the dual-colored, 4-pointed crown. Really sharp looking figure. Then he does have the gold paint in most places. Of course, the joints and the hands don't have the gold paint, but he has it here on his chest and on the shoulders there, so it's pretty snazzy. And then he has it throughout a couple other places. You can see it on the boots. Pretty nice looking figure. Let's look at the accessories really quick before we get into the actual figure. Technically, the wings are accessories. I'm going to pop them off anyway because it'll be a whole lot easier for me to do just about everything with them off. So we'll look at those in a minute. He has 2 beam saber handles that snap on right there, so I don't have to show you that later. These actually are articulated as well. They spin. I can't do it without having one in there, but maybe I can just show you real quick. Yeah, I can't. They do spin, so you can pose them, put them however you want to, so that's cool. There's a little tab, you can see the little tab in there, that goes right in there. But so they have the 2 beam sabers with the black marks on the handles for the individual beam saber use. We also have the handle for combining the 2, which is quite long actually. And it's interesting that the handle is really long because these beam sabers, which is a cool design with the little bulb at the end and then the long blade, but they are super long. The sabers themselves without the handles are 5 inches. So on their individual handles, they're probably about 6. And then, like I said, you can combine them. So that would make it like a 10-inch beam saber for a 5-inch figure. So maybe he's compensating for something. I don't know. You can see here how big the beam saber actually is. Zoom out. It's humongous, but he can hold it, so that's okay. And it's cool looking, so that's fine with me. I don't really mind. He also has a beam shield, which is my favorite type of shield. It's made out of this blue translucent plastic with a little bit of frosting going on, and it has this plate here, which is replaced, or which replaces this plate. It's super tiny, so be careful when you remove it. That just goes in his arm, his forearm armor, gauntlet, whatever you want to call that. Right there. The problem with this beam shield, even though it looks nice, it is super thin. It's really, really flimsy, so you're going to have to be careful with that. It does have a ball hinge on this piece here, though, so you can pose it pretty well, and it does look nice, especially with that metallic purple in there. Really cool looking piece. Of course, he comes with the stand holder that pegs into his crotch, and then you can put your stage 5 or stage 4 stand in there. Maybe other stages, I don't know. He has a total only of 6 hands, which isn't a bad number, but sometimes you get a little more. He has, as you can see here, a fist hand. And of course, you get one of those for either side, so you have 2 fist hands. And on this side, I already have his 1 gun hand in there, so you get a gun hand for either side. And you have 2 cool poses hands. That's what I call those, so that's nice. And the thing I like about these, which you don't always get on the Gundams, is they're two-tone. If I can say that without stuttering, two-tone. I like that better than having the solid gray hands, so that's a bonus for me. He does also have these blasters, which can snap into his side there. And these are super nicely detailed. They have quite a good deal of paint on them. They are metallic in some places, and they just look really snazzy. These snaps also rotate, by the way, so when you put them on his hip, you can pretty much put them however you want to. Cool thing about this is that comes off. This one pulls out, and you can peg that in there to make, yeah, get in there. Nope, doing it wrong. Oh my goodness, I forgot how to do it. Let's pull that out anyway. That goes out like that. How does that go? I just had it, and now it doesn't look like it's gonna go. Oh, it's because I'm doing it upside down. Stupid. Okay, so that goes on like that. It's hard doing this in the camera. I'm doing the whole thing upside down. Alright, so that makes a super gun. Way too much effort. Alright, I don't think anybody will ever use that. But they do connect, so that's okay. And they do have specific purposes. This one has the extending stock. This one has the removable stock. Don't do it in a camera, or you'll end up doing it upside down and not knowing what's going on and look like a stupid person. That extends. This one does not extend, but you don't need it to, because when he's using them like you should probably use them, which is individually, that's all you need to do right there. And they look really cool. You can't really take these out, or at least they're not intended to come out, so don't try to, those little clips. So that covers the accessories. That's pretty much it. We might as well talk about this since I already talked about the guns snapping into the hip there. That is because these are normally there. These side skirt pieces rotate out on either side, and this slides up to cover that open spot. So when you don't have the gun snapped into the side, you have the side skirt that holds the beam saber, and this also is articulated so that you can go like that and extend it like that, and then he has blasters coming from his hips. So that's pretty cool. This guy, for being a smaller one, has tons of little details packed into him, so I really do like that. And I think you guys will appreciate it. He has individually articulated skirt pieces. Of course, they're all on ball hinges, including that one. This back one, of course, is not, because it has to slide up and down, so it just has a single flap. But the hips are on ball pegs, so it's not the most technically advanced engineering, but he has a really good range of motion. You can get that leg better than 90 degrees out, so that's good. And then to the side, you can get him all the way out to the side, so really good range of motion. He does have a bit of a thigh swivel built into that cap or cup for the ball joint, so pretty good range of motion. Not the best swivel, but it'll do. We'll get back up to the torso in a minute. Double jointed knees, kind of an interesting design the way the knee sticks out like that for the yellow part, but it still works. It looks pretty good. I'm okay with it, and you get a good range of motion. The ankle plate is on a ball peg like they've done for a lot of other Robot Damashii figures. The ankle is on a ball peg, you can see that in there, so the whole foot moves around. And then at the end of the ball peg, you can't really get in there to see it on camera, you can kind of see it. The whole lower half of the ankle, the foot part, has an ankle rocker. So if you move this around just the right way, you can get a really good range of motion out of the rocker. Otherwise, the ankle guard does get in the way a little bit. And then lastly, the toe is articulated on its own. So you can get that in some really nice poses. Moving up to the torso, we have a ball peg for the waist, so that gives you a pretty good range of motion. Not a huge amount, but it is there. You can swivel it 360 all the way around. You have an ab crunch built in, which works really well. He has a huge range of motion for that ab crunch. It's really impressive. It's not super loose, but once you put the wings on, he is pretty back heavy, so it's something to be mindful of. I think once you get him on one of the stands that you would peg into that down there, you shouldn't have too much trouble keeping a pose that you want him to have, but standing him up with his wings on, just standing by himself, will be a little troublesome. I haven't checked yet. Let's see. Yes, he does have a sideways torso joint, whatever you call that. It's going to be just a hinge, though, side to side, which is nice, though. It's always nice to have a little bit of extra articulation. The shoulder pads are hinged. They hinge right into the top of the shoulder, so they are individually done. That's nice. You have a ball joint for the shoulder there, and then a hinge that actually connects the arm to that joint. It's really limited, though, due to the design. You're not going to get too much out of it without having the shoulder pad come way up high, but it's not horrible. So, I mean, as long as you don't mind having the shoulder pad go up like that, you're not going to have a problem. If you want to keep the shoulder pad where it is, or where it normally would be, you're pretty limited. So it's up to you. But that being said, the shoulder pads look super cool. Lots of detail on that. I don't like the plain shoulder pad, so I'm happy when they do it like that. You do have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. Not the greatest range of motion on a double jointed elbow, but probably good enough. And then single ball pegs for the wrists. So there's no gap. There's no big gap in there, but there's less articulation for the wrist there. And then the head is on one of these joints where it looks like it's either a ball peg or just a standard hinge. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess it's a ball peg. But I don't know why that even does that. Maybe somebody out there can tell me. I have no clue what the purpose of having the head be able to do that is. And you can see how it's kind of cut out there, shaped like a light bulb almost. That's for the ball hinge to sit in like that. And then you just have the regular neck articulation. And he doesn't look like a bobblehead. So I don't know why anybody would ever pull that out. Maybe you're not supposed to, but they all tend to do that. So you do have a ball hinge for the neck, and it is well articulated, so that's pretty cool. It doesn't have the greatest up and down, but it's pretty good. I can't really complain too much, so I do like that a lot. He's a little skinny from his profile when you don't have his wings on, other than this piece here. But that's okay, because you're going to probably want the wings on. As you can see, though, it's really nicely detailed with the thrusters in there. The wings will just peg in, and I believe I've switched them around and they don't seem to be any different. They can go on either side, and these are just going to peg in right there, and then they can rotate on that peg. But I want to look at the wings without putting them on first, just because there's a whole lot going on here. So you have a hinge that allows the whole arrangement to move like that. There's a pivot, whatever you want to call that. And then of course they can flap like this as well, or fold. So they can do that all together, or you can do it individually. So you can get them in pretty much any pose you want to put them in, no problem at all. These front pieces can fold back on either one. We'll just do them at the same time so we don't get confused. So those can fold either way, no problem at all. And then each little wing itself has its own hinge, like that. So full range for that. And then you can extend them. Each one can do that. And I'm pretty sure once they're extended, you're not supposed to use the hinge, but you can. Not supposed to use it unless you take these off, which will help in reducing the weight, by the way. So if you want to display him like this, it's probably not a bad idea. Those all pop off, all the blue things. And then he has these cool looking yellow wings, which also you can leave it like this if you want to, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like that once you do that. So those can all pop off, and I'll do that really quick on this one just to show you. And how I would suggest you do that is grab it by the fat part and then just run your thumbnail or fingernail down the side, and it should help it come off. Sometimes they're a little finicky though, so be careful. Same thing with the joints, they're a little finicky. They're all kind of not loose, but they're not really tight, and it's awfully small, so do be careful. So that's how we would kind of put that, and we'll go ahead and peg it into place so you can see. And the best way to peg it in that I found is to turn it to the side and peg it in like that, so you can actually push on the back of the joint. And there you go. There is how you would have him displayed, probably. Something, yeah, let's do it like that. Something like that. I don't know, however you want. So that's one side. Looks really cool. And then we'll do the other side, just leaving it blue so that you can see what it looks like either way. And then we'll call it a wrap. This guy, like I said, he's a little small. He's got some really fine parts, but he's got just loads of detail and tons of display ability. So can't really complain too much about him. So there you can see either way, it's going to look super awesome. He is back heavy though, as you can see all of the weight's behind his heel, so that'll be a bit of an issue. But as long as you put him on a stand or balance him really carefully, you won't have any trouble at all. Absolutely love this guy, 100% recommend it, super cool. There it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.